In the dim hum of the emergency room at St. Alder's Hospital, Elara Voss moved through the sterile corridors like a shadow worn thin by endless nights. The sharp tang of antiseptic mingled with the faint metallic bite of blood, while the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh glares on the linoleum floors that stuck slightly under her worn sneakers. Her hands, roughened by countless scrubbings, trembled faintly as she adjusted her faded scrubs, the fabric pulling tight against her shoulders heavy with fatigue. She paused at the nurse's station, the cool edge of the counter pressing into her palms, and let her mind drift inward. Why did she keep pushing through these shifts, she wondered, the ache in her chest expanding like a slow bloom. Years ago, the fire of purpose had driven her, saving lives as a way to mend the void left by her family's car crash, the screech of tires and shattering glass still echoing in her dreams. But now, each patient blurred into the next, their pains a mirror to her own unhealed wounds. She craved a spark, something genuine amid the mechanical routine, yet feared it might shatter her fragile resolve. The hospital had become her cage, the beeping monitors a relentless reminder of lives slipping through fingers, including her own. Perhaps tonight would be different, or perhaps it would grind her down further, leaving her emptier than before. A sudden commotion erupted from the intake area, the thud of doors swinging open, the shuffle of hurried feet on tile. Elara turned, her pulse quickening at the sight of a disheveled man stumbling in, his hand clutched to a gash on his forehead, crimson trickling between his fingers and staining his expensive coat. The scent of rain-soaked wool mixed with the earthy musk of city streets clung to him. He leaned against the wall, his breath ragged, eyes scanning the room with a mix of vulnerability and command. Without a word, his gaze locked onto hers, a silent plea cutting through the chaos, drawing her forward step by deliberate step. She reached for the gauze kit, her fingers brushing the cool metal clasp, feeling the weight of an unspoken connection already forming. Elara guided the man to an empty exam bed, the wheels of the nearby cart squeaking faintly against the floor, the air thick with the acrid scent of iodine from an open bottle nearby. She gestured for him to sit, her movements precise yet gentle, pulling on latex gloves with a snap that echoed in the quiet alcove. The fabric of his coat brushed her arm, carrying a hint of expensive cologne undercut by the salty tang of sweat. As she examined the cut, her fingers probed the edges carefully, first cleaning the area with a cool, alcohol-soaked swab that made his jaw tighten, then applying pressure with a sterile pad, feeling the warmth of his skin through the thin barrier. In that moment, fragments of her past wove into the present, the hospital room where her brother had lain after the accident, his small hand cold in hers, the beeps of machines fading into silence. She had vowed then to never let another slip away without a fight, channeling grief into relentless care. But over time, the faces had multiplied, each one eroding her spirit, leaving her questioning if compassion was a finite resource, drained dry by bureaucracy and burnout. Touching this stranger's wound, she felt a flicker of renewal, his quiet endurance stirring something dormant within her, a reminder that healing could flow both ways, if only she allowed it. The man, Harlan Kane, shifted slightly, his broad shoulders relaxing under her touch, though his eyes betrayed a deeper hunger. Accustomed to boardrooms where empathy was a negotiated commodity, he had wandered the rain-slicked streets after a hollow corporate gala, slicing his forehead on a low branch in a moment of uncharacteristic distraction. The pain was sharp, but it paled against the isolation gnawing at him, the superficial nods from subordinates, the calculated smiles of partners. Here, in this unassuming nurse's hands, he sensed authenticity, a balm he hadn't known he craved until now. He watched her work, the motif of a flickering overhead light casting intermittent shadows across her face, symbolizing the unsteady spark of genuine connection in his polished, predictable world. With the wound now bandaged, Elara stepped back, peeling off her gloves with a deliberate tug, the latex snapping free and landing in the bin with a soft thud. The room's air felt heavier, laced with the lingering sharpness of adhesive from the tape and the subtle warmth radiating from Harlan's presence. She adjusted the bandage one final time, her fingertips lingering a second longer than necessary, sensing the steady pulse beneath. A supporting nurse, Mira Lynn, passed by with a tray of supplies, her quick glance conveying quiet approval before she vanished into the adjacent room, her footsteps fading like a distant echo. Elara's thoughts deepened as she disposed of the wrappers, crinkling paper between her fingers. This encounter pierced her routine armor. Why did his silent gratitude resonate so profoundly? It echoed her early days in nursing, fresh from training, when every patient felt like a personal victory against loss. The accident that claimed her parents and brother had reshaped her, forging a resolve to pour herself into others, yet years of overlooked overtime and emotional detachment had left her hollow. Now, bandaging this stranger, she glimpsed a mutual vulnerability, a bridge across their disparate worlds that might restore her fading empathy. Harlan remained seated, his hand rising instinctively to touch the fresh dressing, the texture smooth and reassuring under his fingers. The sting subsided, but the encounter lingered, stirring reflections on his own barren existence. As CEO of Apex Dynamics, he orchestrated deals in glass towers, surrounded by yes-men whose loyalty was as fleeting as stock prices. Craving unscripted kindness, he had avoided his private physician, seeking instead the anonymity of a public ER. The nurse's careful touch, devoid of agenda, ignited a longing for authenticity he had long suppressed. The flickering light above pulsed again, a motif mirroring the tentative glow of compassion awakening in the dim hospital night, binding their paths in unforeseen ways. As the night deepened in the hospital, Elara led Harlan to a quieter wing for observation, the corridor's linoleum echoing softly under their footsteps, the air cooler here with a faint draft carrying the musty scent of aged linens from nearby storage. She adjusted the thin blanket over him on the reclined chair, its fabric coarse against her palms, while the distant hum of a vending machine vibrated through the walls. A new complication arose when Dr. Silas Reed entered, his white coat swishing, clipboard in hand, eyes narrowing at the unfamiliar patient. Silas, a veteran physician with a penchant for protocol, scanned Harlan's chart briefly, his presence injecting tension into the space. Elara's mind swirled with unease. Why did this stranger's care feel so personal, pulling her from her detached routine? Memories surfaced of her first nursing job, tending to accident victims in a rural clinic, the gravel crunching under ambulances, the metallic taste of fear in her mouth as she stabilized broken bodies. That drive had sustained her, but urban hospital politics had chipped away at it, leaving her wary of attachments that could lead to disappointment. Yet Harlan's quiet composure challenged her barriers, his subtle nods acknowledging her efforts in ways that reignited a buried warmth, complicating her resolve to remain aloof. Harlan settled into the chair, the cushion sinking under his weight, his fingers tracing the bandage's edge absent-mindedly. The encounter with the nurse had stirred unrest. In his world of mergers and acquisitions, vulnerability was a liability, yet her unassuming kindness exposed cracks in his facade. Flashbacks to his rise at Apex Dynamics flooded him, the sterile conference room smelling of fresh ink on contracts, the isolation of decisions that alienated friends and family, leaving him with hollow successes. Now, under her watchful eye, he felt the dynamics shifting, a pull toward authenticity that threatened his carefully constructed empire. The flickering light from a nearby faulty bulb pulsed erratically, the motif evolving to symbolize the unsteady rhythm of emotions beginning to entwine their lives. Dr. Silas questioned the need for extended observation, his pen tapping rhythmically on the clipboard, the sound sharp against the muffled beeps from adjacent monitors. Elara countered with measured gestures, pointing to potential concussion signs, her voice implied through firm nods and insistent hand motions, while the scent of coffee from his mug wafted between them, bitter and grounding. Another supporting figure, orderly Theo Grant, wheeled in a cart of supplies, his boots scuffing the floor, offering a brief distraction as he restocked shelves, his burly frame adding a layer of everyday normalcy to the escalating interaction. Within Elara, the complication deepened. Defending this patient's care felt like reclaiming her agency, yet it risked professional scrutiny. Introspection pulled her back to a pivotal moment, the day she transferred to St. Alders, the city rain pattering on her umbrella, the slick pavement reflecting neon signs as she sought a fresh start from small-town constraints. That move had promised growth, but instead brought bureaucracy that stifled her instincts, making her question if true compassion could survive in such a system. Harlan's presence amplified this internal conflict, his reliant gaze intensifying their budding dynamic, urging her toward a vulnerability she had long avoided. Harlan observed the exchange, his body tensing slightly on the chair, the vinyl creaking under him. The doctor's skepticism mirrored the corporate skepticism he faced daily, but the nurse's advocacy stirred something profound, a sense of being truly seen. Recollections emerged of a rare personal setback, losing a key investor in a stormy board meeting, thunder rumbling outside, the sting of betrayal sharper than any financial loss. It had hardened him, prioritizing control over connection, yet now, in this hospital alcove, the dynamics with Alara hinted at a thaw, complicating his return to isolation. The flickering light grew more insistent, its erratic blinks mirroring the intensifying undercurrents of trust and tension weaving between them. As Dr. Silas relented with a curt nod, retreating down the hall with echoing footsteps, Theo finished his tasks and exited quietly, the door clicking shut behind him. Alara returned to Harlan's side, checking his vitals with a blood pressure cuff that inflated with a rhythmic hiss, the Velcro rasping as she secured it, the cool stethoscope bell pressing against his arm. The room's air held a lingering trace of coffee mixed with the sterile chill, heightening the intimacy of the moment. Alara's thoughts intensified. This defense of a stranger complicated her emotional landscape, blurring lines between duty and desire. A woven memory surfaced, mentoring a young intern during a chaotic shift, the alarm blaring from a crashing patient, the adrenaline surging as they stabilized him together, reinforcing her belief in collaborative healing. But institutional pressures had since isolated her, making such connections rare and risky. Harlan's appreciative posture deepened this current, their dynamic evolving into a silent alliance that promised both solace and upheaval, challenging her to embrace the uncertainty. Harlan felt the cuff tighten, his pulse quickening not from pain but proximity. The nurse's persistence had escalated his internal stirrings. In his executive life, loyalty was bought, not earned through quiet acts. Backstory fragments emerged, a solitary climb to CEO, late nights in his penthouse with city lights twinkling below, the glass of scotch bitter on his tongue, masking the ache of unshared triumphs. This encounter intensified his craving for real compassion, complicating his identity as the untouchable leader. The flickering light stabilized briefly then sputtered again, its motif now representing the deepening, unpredictable bond forming in the shadowed confines of the hospital. Hours ticked by in the observation wing, the clock's hands sweeping silently across its face, the air growing stale with the faint odor of recycled oxygen from the vents. Alara monitored Harlan intermittently, her fingers brushing the cool metal of the pulse oximeter as she clipped it to his finger, the device beeping softly in rhythm with his heartbeat. A new supporting character, receptionist Lena Voss, no relation, though the shared surname often sparked brief confusion, hovered nearby, sorting paperwork with rustling sheets, her perfume a subtle floral note cutting through the clinical sterility. Alara's introspection deepened amid the quiet. Why did this patient's presence unsettle her so profoundly, stirring echoes of unfulfilled longings? Memories intertwined, a quiet evening in her apartment after the crash, rain drumming on the windowpane, the bitter taste of tea as she pored over nursing textbooks, seeking purpose in the aftermath of loss. That solitude had armored her against emotional entanglements, but Harlan's subtle reliance chipped at it, escalating their dynamic toward an inevitable shift. She sensed a revelation looming, something that could redefine her guarded world. Harlan reclined further, his eyes half closed, but his mind raced. The hospital's enforced stillness amplified his internal turmoil. Accustomed to commanding empires, he now grappled with dependence. Flashbacks surged, a high-stakes negotiation in his office tower, the city skyline glittering below, the acrid smoke of cigars lingering as he sealed a deal that cost personal ties. This vulnerability exposed his craving for genuine connection, intensifying the pull toward Alara. As tension built, his jacket pocket vibrated faintly, the insistent buzz of his phone, a harbinger of his hidden identity. The flickering light above dimmed momentarily, then surged brighter, the motif transforming to herald the impending upheaval in their intertwined fates. The vibration persisted, drawing Alara's attention. She gestured toward Harlan's jacket, her hand extending cautiously to retrieve the device as it threatened to slip out. The phone's screen lit up in her palm, sleek and polished, displaying a stream of urgent notifications, emails from Apex Dynamics, board members' alerts, the CEO title glaring in bold. The air thickened with the subtle hum of the device, mingling with the distant clatter of a dropped tray in the hall. Lena paused her sorting, her eyes widening slightly at the revealed screen before resuming her tasks with hurried motions. In that instant, Ilara's world tilted. The stranger's identity as Harlan Kane, the elusive CEO, shattered her assumptions, transforming their encounter from anonymous care to a charged intersection of worlds. Introspection flooded her, recollections of media glimpses of him in glossy magazines, the sharp scent of newsprint, his image synonymous with ruthless ambition that clashed with the vulnerability she had tended. This revelation fueled a storm within, doubt about his motives, yet a deepened intrigue, fundamentally altering their dynamic from caregiver-patient to equals in hidden yearnings. Harlan stiffened as she held the phone, his hand reaching instinctively but halting midway, fingers curling in restraint. The exposure pierced his anonymity, a major event unraveling his carefully veiled quest for compassion. Backstory wove in, ascending to power after a cutthroat merger, the conference room's tension palpable, sweat beading on his brow as he outmaneuvered rivals, sacrificing personal warmth for corporate dominance. Now, unmasked before her, the shift intensified his craving, complicating the authenticity he sought. The flickering light erupted in a series of rapid blinks, the motif evolving into a chaotic strobe, mirroring the transformative chaos reshaping their connection. Ilara set the phone down on the side table with deliberate slowness, the glass surface clinking softly against the metal, her fingers lingering as if to absorb the revelation's weight. The room's atmosphere shifted palpably, the vents whispering cooler air laced with the faint metallic tang from the oximeter. Lena excused herself quietly, slipping out with her stack of papers rustling, leaving them in charged solitude. Ilara's thoughts churned in the aftermath. This CEO's disguise as a mere stranger reframed every interaction, injecting layers of complexity, his craving for real compassion now evident, mirroring her own weary search. A memory surfaced organically, attending a charity gala years ago, the champagne bubbling on her tongue, overhearing tales of corporate titans like him, their isolation hidden behind facades. The shift dynamized their bond, propelling her toward tentative openness, fundamentally altering her protective stance. Harlan met her gaze steadily, his posture adjusting with a subtle lean forward, the chair creaking under the movement. The unmasking event crystallized his internal evolution, no longer hidden, his vulnerability laid bare invited reciprocal depth. Reflections deepened, a rare moment of doubt in his penthouse, city hum vibrating through windows, the emptiness of achievements without shared humanity. This revelation transformed their paths, intensifying the mutual pull toward healing. The flickering light settled into a steady pulse, the motif now a rhythmic beacon, signifying the profound shift toward intertwined destinies in the quiet hospital depths. In the wake of the revelation, the observation wing felt smaller, the walls pressing in with the hum of fluorescent tubes and the distant rattle of a medication cart rolling by. Ilara paced subtly near Harlan's chair, her sneakers squeaking faintly on the floor, hands clasping and unclasping as she processed the convergence of their worlds. A returning supporting character, Dr. Silas Reed, re-entered with updated charts, his footsteps purposeful, injecting urgency as he insisted on discharge protocols, his pen scratching notes that amplified the building confrontation. Ilara's internal storm raged, knowing Harlan's status forced high-stakes choices: maintain professional distance or risk entanglement in his influential sphere. Memories converged, a heated argument with hospital administration over patient advocacy, the boardrooms polished with scent mingling with tension, her voice breaking as she fought for underfunded care, solidifying her distrust of power structures. This moment built towards sacrifice, their paths colliding in a test of her principles, urging her to confront the vulnerability she had bandaged in him and herself. Harlan rose slowly from the chair, the vinyl sighing in release, his hand steadying on the armrest as he faced her directly. The unmasking propelled them toward confrontation, his craving for compassion now demanded reciprocity, challenging his isolated empire. Backstory fragments intensified, orchestrating a corporate takeover, the clink of champagne glasses at a victory party, yet the hollow echo of solitude as allies dispersed, reinforcing his guarded heart. Now, with Dr. Silas's insistence, he weighed, revealing more, a sacrifice that could bridge their divide or shatter the fragile bond. The flickering light surged erratically, the motif heightening to frantic pulses, embodying the converging turmoil of choices and sacrifices ahead. Dr. Silas outlined discharge steps, his voice implied through clipped gestures and pointing at forms, the paper crinkling under his fingers, while the scent of fresh ink filled the air. Elara interjected with protective motions, her arm extending to shield Harlan subtly, escalating the confrontation as protocols clashed with her instincts. Theo Grant reappeared briefly, adjusting equipment nearby with metallic clanks, his presence underscoring the hospital's impersonal machinery against their personal stakes. Within Elara, the paths converged painfully. Defending Harlan meant sacrificing her hard-won detachment, a high-stakes choice that could redefine her career. Introspection wove through, a night shift after losing a patient, the rain-smeared window reflecting her tear-streaked face, the bitter coffee cooling untouched as she vowed emotional barriers. Yet this convergence demanded she lower them, their dynamic intensifying toward mutual sacrifice, compelling her to choose compassion over caution. Harlan engaged directly, his posture straightening as he gestured acceptance of discharge but lingered, his eyes conveying a plea for continued connection. The confrontation built his internal reckoning, revealing his world to her required sacrificing privacy, a pivotal choice in his quest for authenticity. Reflections deepened, a solitary decision to downsize staff, the office air heavy with resignation letters, the weight of power isolating him further. Now, facing her advocacy, he contemplated extending an olive branch job offer or personal outreach risking rejection for genuine bond. The flickering light reached a feverish rhythm, the motif amplifying the high-stakes convergence, pulsing like a heartbeat on the brink. As Dr. Silas finalized the forms with a decisive stamp, the thud echoing softly, Theo exited with his cart rumbling away. Elara handed Harlan the discharge papers, her fingers brushing his briefly, the contact electric amid the converging paths, the room's air now warmer with unspoken tension. Elara's resolve crystallized, the confrontation forced a sacrifice offering her personal contact, a card slipped into his hand, symbolizing her choice to bridge worlds. A memory anchored her, volunteering at a community clinic, the earthy smell of soil from nearby gardens, mending wounds of the overlooked, reigniting her core compassion. This act propelled their dynamic forward, a high-stakes leap toward intertwined futures. Harlan accepted the card, his thumb tracing its edge, the paper smooth under his touch. The convergence culminated in his reciprocal sacrifice, whispering an invitation to his world via a note on the card, risking exposure for connection. Backstory closed in, a rare family gathering abandoned for work, the fireplace crackling and used, the regret sharpening his isolation. Now, this choice marked growth, intensifying their bond. The flickering light dimmed to a steady glow, the motif resolving into calm illumination, signifying the sacrificed barriers and converging paths ahead. Days blurred into a tentative new rhythm after the hospital encounter, the city's bustling streets alive with the honk of taxis and the earthy aroma of street vendors' coffee steaming in the crisp morning air. Elara clutched Harlan's note in her pocket, the paper worn from repeated touches, as she navigated the sidewalk to a quiet cafe he had suggested, the glass door swinging open with a gentle chime. Inside, the warmth enveloped her, the scent of fresh pastries mingling with the rich grind of espresso, while soft jazz notes floated from hidden speakers. Elara's growth unfolded inwardly. The encounter had sparked a resonant shift, compelling her to seek balance beyond the hospital's draining cycles. Introspection lingered. Why had bandaging a stranger unraveled her defenses, leading to this moment of openness? Memories wove through the crash's aftermath, sirens wailing in the rain-soaked night, the hospital lights blurring through tears as she held her brother's fading form, vowing to heal others as proxy for her loss. That vow had sustained her, but isolation had dimmed it. Now, Harlan's authenticity reignited her capacity for connection, fostering growth toward a life where compassion flowed freely, unburdened by past shadows. Harlan arrived moments later, his coat shedding droplets from a light drizzle, his steps measured as he spotted her first scanning the room, then approaching with purposeful strides, pulling out a chair with a soft scrape against the wooden floor. His own evolution resonated deeply, the craving for real compassion had culminated in this outreach, transforming his solitary executive existence. Reflections surfaced, boardroom triumphs, the clink of crystal at galas, yet the emptiness echoing in his vast office, city lights mocking his solitude. This resolution marked profound change, embracing vulnerability as strength, their shared impact lingering like a quiet promise. The cafe's pendant light above their table glowed steadily, the motif now a constant, warm illumination, symbolizing the enduring emotional bond forged from fleeting care. Seated across from each other, Elara unfolded the note on the table, its ink slightly smudged, while Harlan signaled for coffee with a subtle wave, the waiter nodding before retreating. The steam from arriving mugs curled upward, carrying the bold aroma that mixed with the buttery flake of croissants on a shared plate. A passing patron, barista Clara Hale, refilled water glasses with a clink of ice, her apron brushing the table edge, adding a layer of everyday normalcy to their resonant meeting. Elara felt the emotional impact settle deeply. This conclusion to their chance encounter affirmed her growth, turning weary routine into purposeful renewal. Thoughts expanded. The hospital's relentless demands had eroded her spirit, but Harlan's unmasked need mirrored her own, teaching that compassion healed the giver too. Recollections integrated the early nursing triumphs, patients' grateful grasps, the sterile scent of wards blending with hope, yet burnout had veiled that joy. Now, resolved, she embraced change, perhaps pursuing community outreach, her heart lighter with lasting fulfillment. Harlan leaned forward slightly, his fingers encircling the warm mug, steam grazing his skin, as he absorbed her presence. The resolution brought profound impact, his CEO facade cracked open to authentic bonds, growth evident in his softened demeanor. Backstory closed the circle, relentless climbs to power, late-night strategies over glowing screens, the isolation sharpening like a blade, but this connection revealed compassion's value over conquest. He envisioned integrating empathy into his leadership, mentoring others from his transformed perspective, the emotional resonance enduring. The steady light above bathed them in unwavering glow, the motif fully evolved into a symbol of sustained compassion, illuminating their shared path forward. As conversation deepened through gestures and shared glances, Elara traced patterns in the coffee foam with her spoon, the metal tinkling softly against porcelain, while Harlan nodded in understanding, his hand resting open on the table. The cafe's hum faded into a comforting backdrop, the scent of rain freshening the air as the door opened occasionally. Clara passed once more, clearing empty plates with a quiet efficiency, her smile unspoken encouragement. Elara's resolution solidified with lasting impact. The stranger's cut had bandaged her own wounds, fostering growth into a more connected healer. Final introspection. This unlikely meeting echoed her deepest motivations, transforming grief into grace, ensuring future shifts held renewed vigor and openness to serendipity. Harlan mirrored the closure, his posture relaxed, fingers drumming lightly on the wood. The emotional resonance persisted, craving met with compassion had redefined him, growth manifesting in balanced pursuits beyond boardrooms. Concluding reflections, from anonymous injury to profound alliance, he carried forward a commitment to authenticity, impacting his world with empathetic leadership. They parted with a lingering handshake, the contact warm and affirming, stepping into the street where sunlight broke through clouds. The motif light, now internalized, represented eternal glow of mutual healing, their story concluding in harmonious evolution.